Hopefully, hopefully this is working. I think it should be working. We'll see in a moment. I think this is one of the first times I've started a live stream a little bit late. We'll find out in a minute. It looks like it's working. Audio's working. Let me put my microphone a little closer. Okay, whoa. Is the timer run out? No, we'll start in about 16 seconds. Welcome to this English lesson. As I was just saying, I think it's 2 minutes late. It's probably the first time that I started a live stream late. Sounds like in the chat, people are saying sound is a go. So hello. By the way, when I do this, it's usually right after I click my mouse. Freddie Wolf says all is working. Know that says looks great, Bob. I know that. Good to see you. Yoshi's here. Hafiez is here. Redfish, Kashif, Vlad, Kevin Hawthorne, Tech World with Tim, Lolly. Everyone is here. Let me do a little audio check. Let's make sure everything is working. Let's make sure that you can see outside. And I think I can even put my little face in the bottom corner. And let's make sure you can see the questions and these questions. I think we're all set. Yes. There we go. Everything is working as it should. Okay, the only thing I haven't done is I haven't put the link for asking questions into the description below. So let me do that for a second. Let me put that there. And let me do one more thing. And then we should be all good to start. There we go. And Ruslan has the first question in the pocket ready to go. Hi, everybody. Sorry for seeming a little flustered. I don't know why, but time kind of got away on me this morning. And I forgot that I like to hook up this camera, that I like to give you a view of the outdoors as I do the lesson from the indoors. So at the last moment, Jen and I quickly grabbed the other camera. If you look, you can kind of see Jen. I think she's behind the tree now in the distance, but yes, I got that hooked up. Levy in the chat is saying, hi, Bob. Is it cold there? Yes, it's, let me see. What is the temp today? I haven't been outside yet. It's -1. Oh, that's actually not too bad. I need to go for a walk later today. I can walk in -1 quite easily. It should be fun. Yoshi says, I met a Canadian yesterday who is from Vancouver. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. So, hey, how does this work? This is an English Q&A lesson. Before too many people start asking questions in the chat, there is a form that you can click to get to. There's a link in the description below as well. I'm going to do this time. We're going to ask Nightbot to give us a link. And then when Nightbot gives me the link, I'm going to pin it. So I'll pin this. There we go. So handy. If you have a question about the English language, if you have a question about me, if you have any kind of question, I'll try to answer it. Sometimes I say that I can't, but I'll see what I can do. I have 2 cups of water. I have 231 people watching, and let's get this party started. Is that a good way to put it? Let me see what the first question is from Ruslan. Here we go. Hello, dear teacher Bob. Do you think humans shape their environment or vice versa? Or is it like a dance where both lead at different times? I think it's the second. I think that when you look at cities, humans have certainly left their mark on the environment. We tend to pave things and make parking lots and roads, and we build lots of really large buildings. So we leave our mark. But I think when you go camping or when you go for a hike, when you're out in nature, you definitely experience, well, is that nature leaving its mark on you? Yes, I think so. Definitely, yeah. When I'm out under nice trees in the fall for a hike, it certainly is an enjoyable thing for me. In the chat, hi to Hafiaz and Unsal, Svetlana, Nora 9, Mohammed, Vikas, Kit Koneg, Kentron, Redfish already. Eavesdrop English is here. Emerson, Darkstar, and Azel, thanks for being here. So yes, if you look outside, that's not the outside. It's called River Cam, but you could just see a little bit of the river. If you look outside, and if I remove my image from the corner, you can see we have a little bit of snow on the ground. And as I said earlier, it is -1 right now. So a little chilly, but actually pretty nice. Okay, let's get to the next question. Let's see here. From Safin, hello. I don't have a question today. The weather is cold here in Kurdistan, like Canada. Yes, most of us who are close to the same level of latitude usually experience similar weather. Yesterday, it was quite a bit colder than it is right now. And the wind has an enormous effect on the temperature, or not the temperature, but how it feels. The windier it is, the colder it feels at that temperature. This question is from Muaz. How can I have a more Canadian accent and sound like a native Canadian speaker? So the way to do this, let me just move. My mic doesn't want to turn this morning. There we go. The way to do this is to make sure you are practicing with a Canadian speaker, someone who already has the Canadian accent, and then try to mimic their accent. You can, by the way, there's a link to a place called Preply below. You can for sure find a Canadian English tutor on that website or with that app. The other thing I would do is make sure you are listening to Canadian YouTubers, watching Canadian television shows from the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the CBC. Both of those would be great ways to start to sound more like a native Canadian speaker. And then if you don't live here, of course, the next best thing would be to move here to live in Canada. Freddie Wolf says, with minus, you shouldn't be ice skating on the river. No, it's not quite cold enough for that. I think I've mentioned this in years past. If it's -20 for 4 days in a row, then usually the river is nice and frozen. Yep, there's one dog. There's Walter coming down the driveway. There's Jen coming in. I think she just went and fed the chickens and got the eggs. We probably will see, oh, there's a tail just went by. So a few dogs running around. Let's see here. No, that says there's less snow than there was the last few days, Bob. Yeah, it hasn't been warm enough to melt, but I think most of you who live in colder areas know that if you have snow on the ground, even if it stays below zero, the snow will slowly disappear. I think especially if it's sunny, it will slowly start to go away. From Halima, what is the free best application to practice my speaking skill? Well, the best free thing to do is not to use an app. Apps are great, but they often require that you at some point pay to use them. What I would say is the best thing to do is to find a speaking partner who wants to learn your language. This is easier for some people than others. If you're a French speaker, it's easier to find someone who will teach you English and you can learn French from them. But that's the best free way to do it, in my opinion. The other would be just read things out loud. Watch YouTubers and shadow them, say what they say after they say it. But certainly, I can't think of one app that is free that specifically helps with speaking. There are apps that help you learn vocabulary and other things. Yoshi says, what is the difference between here we go and let's get going? They're the same. And my teacher, Eric, the Canadian living in Japan, said Canadian English is almost American English. Is it true? Yes, Eric, the Canadian, is correct. By the way, I will try to answer member comments and questions from the chat as I go along. I'm trying to do something new today. American English and Canadian English is very similar. Those of you that have watched Brent from American English with Brent and I do live streams together, we sound very similar. I have a slightly more Canadian accent. He has a slightly more Northeastern American, but they're so similar it would be hard to tell us apart. No, that says, yes, I know what you mean, Bob, but this kind of snow on the ground is not so great. No, I don't like it when I can see the grass outside. I like it when there's snow everywhere and you can't see the grass. Next question from Know That. Hello, Bob. Have you already bought all your Christmas presents? No, and there's a problem with that. Or do you no longer give each other presents for Christmas? Thanks in advance, sir. No, we haven't. We usually buy half or more of our presents online, but currently in Canada, our post office, our postal workers are on strike. There's no mail in Canada right now. So even though most of the things that we would order would come with UPS or DHL or other delivery services, those services are overwhelmed because they're delivering the normal amount of packages, but also all of the packages that would have gone through the Canadian Postal Service. So there's no mail right now. I don't get mail anymore. So if you sent me a postcard or Christmas card, I won't get it this year until January when the strike is over. Yeah, we'll see. We have to do some shop. We might be doing more shopping in stores than in other places. So from Turkek Hali, hi, hey Bob, sir. Actually, I'm confused about some of the tenses. Please guide me. So a little fix there. Basically, this is what I recommend. Get really good at talking about 4 different things, okay? And that would be things you did in the past, things you're doing right now, and things you're going to do in the future. And then I think you should learn one of the conditionals, like I would like or I would go. So learn to say things like this. Yesterday, I went for a walk. Right now, I'm watching a live stream. Tomorrow, I'm going to eat some pizza. If I was older, my shoulder wouldn't hurt. So that's a little more complex, but those 4 tenses will get you through quite a bit of your conversations. And as you have better conversations, you will learn some of the more complex tenses as you go along. So that's what I would say. Learn to talk with confidence in the past, the present, and the future. And then add one of the conditional tenses in there. From Kit Konang, can you tell me your native language? I am a native English speaker. I was born in Ontario, Canada, way back in the early 70s. My parents spoke English. And so I learned English from my parents and in school, like all native speakers do. Interestingly, though, my parents did come from the Netherlands. So they spoke 2 languages. But when they arrived here, they were children, and both my parents' families decided to only speak English, to no longer speak Dutch. So I am a native English speaker. Let's see. Ralph says, hi, everybody. Too late again. Not really. It's only 10:15. That's not too bad. And Know That saying hi to Ralph. Good to see some fun conversation between people. Let's go to the next question from Youssef. Could you please provide suggestions to be able to understand native English speakers, especially in their daily life, live conversations, and when they speak in a fast manner? So there's 2 suggestions I can give you, and both are free. Number 1, when you are watching YouTube videos, try to watch videos where people are speaking very natural English, like people who are vlogging, people who are out in public. And then start to turn the speed up on those conversations. So listen to it at normal speed. Once you can understand it at normal speed, put it up to 110%, 125%, and start to listen to them at a faster speed. Do the same with podcasts. If you're listening to a podcast where 2 English speakers are talking to each other, try to understand it at normal speed and then start to listen to it again or watch it again at a faster speed. Number 2, I said I had 2 things, didn't I? And I said the one in their daily life and when they speak in a fast manner. Oh, number 2, try to Yeah, I'm just going to recommend again, try to watch reality television shows, even though they're not exciting. Shows like The Amazing Race or Survivor are unscripted. So you hear relatively natural or American English or English that you can use to help understand things. Let's see. No, that says, were you able to have a snowball fight with your family at least on Thursday or Friday, Bob? No, it was a little too cold. It was a little chilly out there, so no snowball fights. And I'm trying to walk every day in December. And so Thursday night, I was out walking in the cold. It was very, very chilly. From Abid, hello, dear teacher. I have one request. If you make a vocabulary lesson about cricket, that would be great. So I fixed a couple things there. But Abid, I don't think this is going to happen unless I do it in a way where I talk about how I don't understand cricket, because I don't really understand the rules. But let me put that on my list and I'll see what I can do. From Freddie Wolf, hi all. For those interested in the reopening of the Cathedral Notre Dame de Paris after 5 years of reconstruction, following its destruction by fire, the event will take place today at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Very cool. I remember the sad day I was at school teaching, and I had students who had just visited France. I didn't go, but they had just come back from France. And then we watched it on the news. We watched the fire and they were very sad. I was very sad. So very cool, Freddie, that is rebuilt now. Let's see here. From Miss Razzoli. Teacher, please, if you want, can you make a class for girls? So there is an English teacher on YouTube. It's Emma. She's from Australia. And I forget the name of her channel, but she has a special channel for English learners who are women, girls and women. So I would do a search for that. Search for Emma's English for Women on YouTube. And you will be able to find hopefully something like that. It might be more comfortable. Sometimes people are more comfortable learning with people who are the same gender as them. So do a search for that, Miss Razzoli, and hopefully that is helpful. Hafia says, oh, I heard about the reconstruction. I totally forgot it was the same cathedral that caught fire. Yes, that is just amazing that it was rebuilt. Like 5 years might seem like a long time, but that's pretty quick. Annette says, Mr. Bob, why don't you wear a glove? It's cold, isn't it? So you will often see me outside. I'm not sure if this is me outside. Yeah, I don't think I have gloves on in that one. That was the lesson from yesterday. There are many times I don't wear gloves or a toque. Often, like today, if it's -1 or -2, if I'm just going to my car, I will not put gloves on. I don't really need gloves. If it's -5 or -10, I do need gloves. From Carolina, do you ever feel affected by seasonal depression? So here's what I will say. We do not get a lot of sunlight in this part of the world in December. The days are very, very short. But I do find that if I go for a walk during the day outside, I am happier. So I can't comment about whether I feel like I have seasonal depression. By the way, seasonal depression is when during the long, cold winter days, you don't feel very happy and you feel depressed. But what I will say is that if I can get outside for a walk 5 or 6 days a week, or 7, which I'm trying to do right now, I think the natural light on my face makes me happier. From Yoshi, when I hear the unknown words, I always confused because I can't understand them. What should I do? Little fix there. Yeah, when you hear a word, it's hard to look it up right away, right? If you hear an unknown word on YouTube, you can try to turn the subtitles on and rewatch that part and then look that word up. No, that says, thank you, Ralph. I try my best to contribute as much as possible to Bob's virtual farm when my weekly schedule allows. I'm always surprised at how well it works out in terms of timing. Yes, we appreciate all people who help us out. So you can help us out by watching Jen's channel too, by the way. She is very much enjoying creating YouTube videos. If you don't know where Jen's channel is, I will get a link for you for a sec. Let me find it. Here we go. So if you like flowers, Jen's Flower Farming channel. And if you're bored, you can go watch some of Jen's videos. She very much enjoys doing YouTube as well. I think she has put out almost 40 videos. I think 37 or so videos. From Roseanne. Good morning, Bob. A random question. Do you have any farm you know that sells eggs? We sell eggs, but we sell our eggs to a caterer. So we have 12 chickens. I think we have 13 chickens. And we can't eat that many eggs. We only eat 4 or 5 eggs a day or need that many. So there is someone who we know who is a caterer who makes breakfasts for a big organization, and we sell our eggs to her. So we sell her about, I think, 4 dozen a week, something like that. So, but I don't know any other farms around me that do. But if you go to a local farmer's market, you will certainly find some. From Tina. Hello, I have been to an Avril Lavigne concert. I have been to a concert by Avril Lavigne. Can I use either? How would one normally say that in English? They're both correct. I would use the first one, and I would use a contraction. I would say, oh yeah, I've been to an Avril Lavigne concert. So I have been to an Avril Lavigne concert. I've been to an Avril Lavigne concert. It was amazing. By the way, I haven't. It's just the example sentence that I'm reading, but that's how you would say it. The second one is correct, but it sounds very formal. I have been to a concert by Avril Lavigne. Like I change my voice even, but the first one is the one that I would use. Hey folks, remember if you have a question, please put it in the form. I have 8 more to go and then I'm going to run out. So if you are asking questions in the chat, please click the little link and use that instead. From Shan, expression pros and cons. Can you explain? So when you list pros and cons, you're listing the good things about something and the bad things about something. So I have headphones that plug into my computer. I don't have wireless headphones. So I can talk about the pros and cons of these types of earbuds. Did I say headphones? These are not headphones. These are earbuds. The pros, one of the pros is that they never go dead. They don't need a battery. As long as they're plugged in, they work. One of the cons is that if you have them plugged in and you walk away from your computer, they get pulled out of your ears suddenly, and it's quite uncomfortable. So pros and cons are when you list the things that are good about something and the things that are bad about it. Now, let's see here. No, that says to Ralph, and I think Bob will let me know if I'm bothering him too much here. Just kidding. Yeah, I love it when people have conversations. Sorry, I'm reading them out loud. I'll try to sort through. Hafia says, was expecting to hear Avril Lavigne is Canadian, by the way. Oh, Avril Lavigne's Canadian, by the way, just so you know. Good stuff. Let's get to the next question. And we'll put it on the screen. Here we go. Lolly says, please, what's the difference between laudable and praiseworthy? So they're the same. If you do something that's laudable or praiseworthy, it means you've done something where people will say, good job, or thanks for doing that, or I appreciate that you did that. Now, I'm trying to think. We don't use these words a lot anymore. I'm going to look for a synonym. Because these sound very, yeah, I'm trying to think. I think we just say that was very nice of you. Like laudable and praiseworthy are authentic, perfect English words. They are used, but they sound formal. I'm trying to think if someone did something nice, I would probably say that's very nice of you. Like if I was to say, when Brent comes, he helps in the chat, and that's very praiseworthy and laudable. I would most likely just say it's very nice of him to do that. It's very nice of him to come and help in the chat. Mohammed, how can we improve our reading skill in a short time? I'm going to add one little word there, Mohammed. So I'm not a believer in things going fast when you're learning a language. So I would say there is no way to really speed up how much you can improve unless you simply do something more. but more with a strategy. So I would say if you are reading and looking up every other word, you are reading something that's too difficult. If you are reading English and you don't have to look up any words, you are reading something that's too easy. So if you want to improve your reading skill, and I'm not going to comment on the short period of time or long period of time, you need to read things that are the exact right amount of difficulty, where you're just looking up 10 or 20 words in a newspaper article instead of every word. So hopefully you can figure out what will help you do that. Ario is here. Hi, Ario. How are you, Mr. Bob? I'm good. Sorry I'm late. What have you been working on lately? Lately, I've been enjoying life quite a bit because most of the busiest parts of our fall, like the season of fall, are done. So we have prepared the farm for winter. We have put things away. By the way, I did a lesson yesterday on getting ready for winter, which is kind of related to my life. We have drained all the hoses. We have tilled the ground that needs to be tilled. We have cleaned up flower beds. So just lately, I've been starting to relax again. Glad to see you again live. Any tips for learning phrasal verbs? I found it hard to recall them. Yeah, you just need to hear them a lot. And it's probably good to just hear them when they're being used. So any lesson where they show you the phrasal verb in action, or any lesson where, like a YouTube lesson where you can see the phrasal verb being acted out. I've done some of them. Other people have done some of them, but that is usually the best. If you can see, what someone is doing. Let's see here. From Ruslan, greetings from Kazakhstan, Bob. Do you plan to teach business English? I have no plans at this point in time to teach English courses online. I have in the past, like over a year ago, done a Saturday lesson. I might do a few of those in the winter for just 4 or 5 people. But right now, I have no plan to teach English online. I do teach at a high school in the morning in person, and then I do YouTube during the rest of the day, and that's as much as I'm planning to do for now. Hafiz says, was there an official start of winter there? Yeah, I think it starts December 21st or 22nd. So it's not officially winter yet, but it will be soon. We can find that out though. Let's see. Start of winter Canada 2024. Saturday, December 21st is the first day of winter. So we'll look forward to that. Okay, let's see here from Redfish. Good morning, Bob. I want to ask you, do you like rain? I do like rain. If I was to think about weather, the kind of weather I love snowstorms. I love winter weather of all kinds. I like a day where it's 18 degrees, 17 or 18 degrees Celsius is a perfect temperature for me. And I like rain. I don't mind a rainy day. I like the sound of rain. When I lived in Quebec City many, many, many years ago as a young guy, I liked the sound of rain in the city. I'm going to answer this from an English perspective, of course. Greetings. I want to know what's the difference between girls and women. We sometimes use the word interchangeably, but when we use girls, we generally mean children. Like I have in my family, I have 5 kids. I have 3 boys and 2 girls. When we use the term women, we usually are talking about someone who is over the age of 18 or 19 or 20. So that would be the grammatical or difference in meaning between those 2 terms. From Oksana. Hi, how many days are we talking about when we say a few days? 5, 12, 20? So this is how I think about it. If I give you a couple eggs, it's 2 eggs. If I give you a few eggs, it's probably 4 or 5 eggs. If I give you several eggs, there goes Walter. If I give you several eggs, it's probably like 7 or 8. If I give you a dozen, it's 12. So for me, a couple is 2 and a few is like around 5 and several is like 7. It's not exact, but you can see how few and 5 sound similar. Although I would say this, if I said, oh, I'll come and visit you in a few days, it probably means 3 days or 4 days or 5 or 6. Like, it's definitely more than 2 or 3, maybe 3. It's kind of a funny term, isn't it? Let's see. Well, definitely not 12 or 20. If I brought my car to the mechanic and he said, I'll have it fixed in a few days, I'm expecting it back in 4 or 5 days, not 12 or 20. From DNK, hey Bob, when you want to talk about a range in time or space, do you say from A to B or just A to B? So when you try to go from A to B, I definitely say from. And here's an example sentence. I use a car to get from A to B. That's my normal mode of transportation. Some of you might use public transit to get from point A to point B, which, notice I added the word point there, which means you get on a train or a subway or a bus. So I think we say from point A to point B, and you can say from A to B as well. Yes, that would work. Okay, where are we at? We're going to go into full members only chat for a bit in order to recognize and honor my members who have done something laudable and praiseworthy by becoming members. We do have members only chat at a certain point during the live lesson. And since it's 10:30, it's time to do it. Should we also, I think we probably missed it. You maybe saw Jen walking back in again. So if you are a member, you click the mouse and lift my arms. If you are a member, you may ask a question directly in the chat right now. If you are wondering what membership is, it's a cool thing where you click the join button, you become a member of my channel, and you get some cool special things. You get your name in green during live lessons. You get a crown by your name. You can participate in members only chat. You get a Monday morning lesson plan for the week. Just a list of ideas of things you can do and things you can read or listen to improve your English, and a few challenges. And then on Wednesdays, you get something called Wednesdays with Bob, which is a little 4-minute walk with me, 3-minute walk with me, usually in town or on my farm, where I talk about a few random things. So if you're interested in being a member, click the join button below, and maybe that's something you would be interested in. Again, if you are interested in Jen's channel, if you like flowers, there is a link in the chat as well for that. So you can have a look there. So while I'm waiting for members, I will answer a few more questions from the queue. So here we go. From Uzamukunda. Hopefully I said that right. Hello, what can I do to improve my English speaking? So I'm a believer that the more you do something, the better you get at it. So you need to find ways to practice your speaking. There's 2 different ways of practice speaking. One is to practice with a partner where you're having conversations. Those are very, very important. There's a link below to a place called Preply where you can hire someone as an English speaking partner. So that is one way to do it. Have actual conversations with people. If you can join an English speaking club in your city or town, do that as well. Number 2, you can improve your English speaking on your own by simply reading things out loud, copying English speakers from videos, describing what's happening around you out loud. Like, just say what you see and say what you are doing. So those 2 things. One is a little more interactive, and one is a little more like an individual practice scenario. Know that in the chat says, Bob, do you have any plans for today or tomorrow? Maybe go shopping for something. We're definitely going shopping this weekend. As I mentioned, our normal plan to order a lot of things online is kind of falling through. In English, when you say something falls through, it means that it's not happening anymore, or it's not possible. Like, if you're going to visit someone and then the plans fall through, it means you can't do it. So because the postal system isn't working here, we might have to buy everything at actual stores. Omar, super sticker. Thanks, Omar, for that. Very nice. And then it says, let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. Oh, thank you for giving a super sticker. Very awesome. Chris Potato has joined as a member. Thanks, Chris Potato, for the support. I hope you enjoy what you receive. Lolly welcoming Chris Potato, and Dima saying welcome. Oh, and Dima has also joined as a member. Very cool. Welcome to the live lesson. Oh, and Ziggill has also joined. Very cool. Freddie Wolf, Bob, have you purchased a new blue van? That's cool. It's your favorite color. By the way, with what kind of gear is it equipped? Do you rather prefer manual or automatic? So we bought a new, it looks like a van, but it's actually a car. It's called a hatchback, a 4-door hatchback. And when I say new, it's actually 10 years old. So it's not brand new. And the two things it has that I like, it has a backup camera. That's pretty cool. Our other vehicles don't. And it also has heated seats. I don't actually like those. You would think as a Canadian, I would like heated seats, but I don't. But yeah, you can see that in a lesson on my other channel. The car is in that. I prefer automatic transmission. I used to like manual. Chris Potato says, hi, Bob. How do I construct English sentences fast when speaking and also speak with clarity? So number one, sit down and try to write down and memorize 20 or 30 really common English sentences that you'll need to know. You need to know how to say how old you are, where you work, what food you like. Like, make sure you have memorized some of the more common things for questions people will ask you. So people will say things like, where do you work? So make sure you're always ready to answer that question. Or where were you born? Make sure you're always ready. So the more of those answers you can have ready, the better your conversation will go. So that's number one. And then to speak with clarity, I just recommend saying words out loud a lot, even if you're just reading a book out loud. Ralph says, your snowy world looks so beautiful. We're still at about 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, but as heating the house gets more and more expensive here, waiting a bit for the colder days could be a good plan for now. Yes, we saved a lot of money last winter heating our house because it was a very mild winter. No, that says, I read the other day that in some regions, the polar night has already started, Bob. Theoretically, this should also apply to some of your northern regions of Canada. Most likely, yes. I'm sure the longest night of the year is coming for those regions. That 24 hours of night, right? That would be really cool to experience someday. No, that says, can you imagine being without sunlight for months? I can't. Like, if I lived somewhere where it was weeks on end without sunlight, that would be strange. And then the inverse too, right? Where it would be weeks and weeks with sunlight in the summer. Yoshi says, I'm getting used to English recently, maybe because when I watched Brent's channel, I can understand what he said. Is it good? Yes. And it's good to listen to a variety of English speakers. I don't know how much time all of you have, but the more variety in your listening, the better. So often when viewers say, Bob, I can understand you, but I can't understand other English teachers on YouTube, I say you should watch their videos more because you've learned to understand my voice and how I speak. So it's good to have some variety. Certainly, it's good to have some variety in listening to men, women, groups of people talking. Like, there's all different ways to practice your English. Let's see here. I'm getting used to, I understand what he said. Is it good? Also, you should realize that both myself and Brent, like when I listen to Brent and when I listen to myself, we speak slightly slower than normal. Like, it's pretty close to full speed. I think it's very much our teaching voice. The voice we use when we're teaching a class becomes the voice we use when we're doing English lessons on YouTube. So it's very authentic and real, but I would say it's just a tiny bit slower. From Know That, could you explain the meaning of the phrase to cut the mustard? And do you perhaps have some common examples of its usage? Many thanks, Bob. So we usually talk about people that don't cut the mustard. So when you don't cut the mustard, it means you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's not a super common phrase. So I didn't cut the mustard as a hockey player, so I was released from the team. So that's an example from the internet. So often I would say I hear it in the negative. And then I would also add, I haven't really heard that phrase a lot lately. It's worth knowing though. Hey, Brent is here. Hi, Brent. Says to Yoshi, thanks, man. No problem. Sorry, he's saying thanks to Brent, and I'm saying no problem. On behalf of Brent, he appreciates the comment. Hafiez says, I sometimes get cramps around my feet. I prefer automatic transmission during those times. Yeah, but wouldn't it be better to have something to do with your feet if you're getting cramps? Yes, Brent has appeared, says Hafiez. Yes. No, that says, I also think it would certainly be a great experience to experience that. But in the long run, I'm not sure if I would be something for me too, Bob. Yeah, I think I would visit a place with polar night. I don't know if I would really want to live there. Hafiez says, bought anything during Black Friday sales and Cyber Monday? And he's asking Brent that question. So Brent is in America, but this Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale thing has gone kind of worldwide. This American tradition of buying things on the Friday after Thanksgiving. So very cool. I know that says, thanks for your answer. And then Brent's answering Hafiez's question. Very cool. Hey, I'm going to go out of members only mode, but remember, I'm trying now during live lessons like this to keep my eye on the chat. So if you do have something to say as a member, I hopefully will see it. I see Eva just said something. I'll have a sip of water. Eva says, hi, I'm really late, but I've been raking the leaves in my garden. No snow yet. As I can see, Canada is colder than Poland. Yes, you're doing this. Let me see how quickly I can find it. Clean up the yard. Something you should do when getting ready for winter. Put the patio furniture away and clean up the yard. I think that's what Eva is probably doing. Let me get another question. Aziz, hi. Do native speakers use a couple for more than two things as well? And how do you use it, or Canadian? Yeah, like if I say I have a couple cars, it means I have two. I'll be there in a couple days. It means two, but it could be three, but it's pretty much two. They have a couple of kids, means they have two kids. I'm having trouble thinking of an example where I would use couple. Like, hey, I'm at the store. Do you want anything? Can you get me a couple donuts? That might mean three, but it usually means two. Yes, I think it's all for the most part. Hafiez, what shows are you watching now, Bob? I've caught up with Arcane, going to watch The Penguin next. I am currently watching The Day of the Jackal and The Agency, two spy shows. One is British. The one is kind of half British, half American. They're both very, very cool. Yoshi says, I'll keep going. Thanks, Master Bob. No problem. Okay, let me get to the next question. Omar, I don't know how to use tenses in English. Thank you. It's very important that you learn two things. Learn to say a word that will trigger the tense you use, and then learn how to use a past tense, a present tense, and a future tense. Here's what I mean by that. When you say the word yesterday, you should say yesterday and then use the past tense. Yesterday, I ate a piece of pizza. As you train your brain to say words like yesterday or last week or last month, you learn that subconsciously you should use the past tense after that. And the same with when you say right now, I'm watching a live stream. When you use the phrase right now, it should help you learn what tense to use next. And then tomorrow, next week, next year should trigger you to use the future tense. And learn those three tenses. Like, sit down and memorize those tenses with some pretty common verbs, like to eat, for instance. Yesterday, I ate a slice of pizza. Right now, I'm eating a slice of pizza. Tomorrow, I'm going to eat a slice of pizza. And then hopefully you can start to link those words together. Chris Potato, hi Bob. Is there a trick in shortcutting sentences? I observed that native speakers do that often. So I would say it's not something you need to learn right away. It's something you should be able to pick up as time goes by. Like, for instance, if I say, how is it going? Or if I say, how's it going or how's it going? So there's different levels of how fast you say it. If you say to me, Bob, how is it going today? It sounds a little long, but slowly you can learn to say, hey, Bob, how's it going today? How's it going today? So yeah, you don't have to right away, but you, I think, naturally will learn to squish your sentences together. Hafia says, I recommend Killing Eve, British TV show, but the story is all around Europe about a police chasing an assassin like cat and mouse. I think I watched episode 1 of that, and then I never kept watching it. I should check it out again. From Guillermo, what kind of clothes do you think are appropriate when the temperature is ranging from -5 to 0 degrees Celsius? So it depends on what you're going to do. If I'm going to stand outside and talk to someone, I'm going to wear a winter coat, thin gloves, and maybe a winter hat. If I'm going to walk for exercise and it's this temperature, I'm going to wear a t-shirt, a very thin athletic shirt or sweater or sweatshirt, and maybe a toque and gloves, like winter hat and gloves that I can take off because I'm going to get warm. But that actually isn't very cold. It also depends if it's windy or not. In the chat, Chris Potato says, nice, good point. Thanks, Bob. No problem. Glad you appreciated it. Let's see. Let's get the next question. Adam, are there any tips or methods to remember the English phrases? Like give me a hand means I need help, not giving a real hand to me. You just have to hear them a lot and you have to start using them a lot. Hey, can you give me a hand? So instead of saying, let's say you're in a night class learning English. Instead of saying, excuse me, can you help me with question 3? You can say, hey, could you give me a hand with question 3? The more you use them, the easier it will be to remember. So Bryce says, hi, Bob, I'm from China. I watch your videos on Bilibili every day, and this is my first time watching your live stream. I'm thrilled. Yes, I do have videos on Bilibili. I have an official channel on Bilibili in China. If you see me anywhere else, it's not, those videos aren't from me. Hafia says, I saw a cat. Yes, the cats are alive and well. Okay, Jyoti, are you from Waterloo, Ontario? No, but I have been there. And I know sometimes my students go to university there. From MD, hi, Bob. I'm curious to know what your last name is. I usually don't mention my last name online. I just think I'm old-fashioned and I don't like to give away too much information. So my last name is The Canadian, or the French, Le Canadien. That's my last name. Let's see here. From Carolina. Sometimes I feel frustrated. I am 44 years old and feel like I don't learn English as quickly as I'd like. Do you think age is an obstacle? I don't think age is an obstacle, except for learning to pronounce things perfectly. But I think all of the other areas of learning are available to you at your age. The problem is when you are that old, you don't have as much time. So when you're 17, you can spend hours each day learning to speak a language. When you're 8 years old, living in a new country, you have lots of time to learn a new language. But when you're 44, maybe you have a job, maybe you're married, maybe you have kids of your own, maybe you have other responsibilities. It's really hard to find time every day. And that is the major obstacle. It's not your age. It's that people our age, now you're much younger than me, but people our age are just busy, and busyness can be very, very challenging. From the chat, let's see. Ralph says, the cat seems to be searching for something. I saw it multiple times now. So I think the cat, I'm just wondering if there's a bit of dog food outside. Sometimes the dogs are messy when they eat. No, that says, Bob, when I look at your river cam, it occurs to me, has your new driveway actually paid off? I mean, do you now have fewer problems with mud when getting out of your car as you expected? Yes, I have won the war on mud so far. So we have now a parking spot for every car. And if someone comes to visit, they can park somewhere on stone or gravel. So yes, it's paid off. very much so. We very much enjoy it. Yoshi says, the Canadian who met me yesterday said Vancouver is warmer than Ontario. Please tell me why Vancouver is warmer. Because of the ocean and the ocean currents. So there is a warm Pacific Ocean current that keeps Vancouver warm. So I think Vancouver might even be further north than me, but there is a, why is Vancouver warm? So it says, protected by the mountains and warmed by the Pacific Ocean currents, Vancouver is one of the warmest cities in Canada. And I can attest to that because I visited Vancouver a few times when I was younger, and it was very warm in the winter. You could go for a walk outside after supper wearing just a jacket. It was very nice. Let's see here. From Hafia, speaking of Waterloo, I received a package and they used Waterloo, Ontario newspaper as packing paper. The newspaper is like half than the usual newspaper size. Very unique. Yeah, we have large newspapers and then we have small newspapers in Canada. I'll show you one sometime. Chris says, I saw your videos on Bilibili. I'm from China. I just signed up for YouTube. Very cool, Chris. Welcome. Let's see here. Let's get a question on the screen. From Sabita, what is the difference between ESL and Link English language courses? And which courses help in Canadian citizenship? I don't actually know, so I can't answer your question. I do know that if you go to the Canadian government website on immigration, if you search how to immigrate to Canada and go to the Canadian website, you will hopefully find the information you need. Freddie Wolf says, I wonder if Walter gets along with your cats. Has Oscar taught Walter to like them? They get along fairly well, actually. It's interesting. I thought they would not, but they do. The dogs do not get along with rabbits, though. They like to chase rabbits, but I think every dog in the world does. From Dimitro, hello from Ukraine, Bob. I have no question. I just want to say thanks for what you do for all of us. You're welcome. I hope you're having a good day. Let's see here. From Yuri. Hello, Bob. If I say some sentences in German and I want my student to interpret them from German into English or translate them, maybe, should I say, could you interpret, translate them? Sorry, yes, translate. You should say, here are some German sentences. Please translate them into English. You could also just say, please put them into English. Both would work. I sometimes do this in my classes. I'll say, here are some English sentences. Put them into French or translate them into French. Yeah. From Mikhailo. Hello, Mr. Bob. Can you give some advice on how to motivate yourself to do anything? Thanks. Have a nice time. Yeah, this is a challenging one because sometimes it's just your personality, and sometimes it's just how much energy you have. So my personality is one where I am very curious all the time, but I'm also very busy and sometimes very tired. So I know for myself the times of the year or the times of the week where I am well rested and have lots of energy, I'm also very motivated. And I think I've explained this before. If I get a good night's sleep, if I exercise, and if I eat healthy food, I'm generally more motivated to do things. But it's a tough question because there are so many factors that go into how to stay motivated. It's challenging. Try. Hi, Bob. Could you recommend some questions for making small talk with a foreigner on the street? So I had visitors from other countries in the past, and I know in some cultures it's not common to talk to strangers. In Canada, and I think this is true in the United States as well, there are certain times where we will talk to strangers. Here is when I would talk to a stranger. If I'm waiting in line at the grocery store, I might say to the person behind me, wow, it's a really long line today. And they might say, yeah, I can't believe it. And then I might say, I was here yesterday and there was no line. So in a line, I might make small talk. If I'm in an elevator, I might make small talk. Like you would start by just saying, what floor are you going to? And then push the right floor for them. But lines are probably the place. You wouldn't like if I was in Toronto, I wouldn't just start talking to a stranger on the street unless I was in a tourist area and I might ask someone for directions or something like that. But yeah, I would say lines are a fairly safe place to make small talk. If you're in a McDonald's and you're in line, you could turn and say, I hope we don't have to wait too long for our food. From Valentina, hello, Bob. What time is it now at your place? So it is 10:57 a.m. and I have 8 questions to answer, and then I will wrap up the lesson. So yeah, it's morning. It's like an hour before lunchtime. I had a nice breakfast already. So Yoshi says, thank you, Bob. I got it. Near ocean area, hardly get colder. Yeah. So I think there's a warm current this in the Pacific that keeps Vancouver nice and toasty warm. Let's see. Next question. From Ruslan. Good morning, Bob. I wanted to leave a request. Could you create a separate playlist for English tenses? Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that. I don't spend a lot of time teaching tenses. I should just do another series of those, like talking about the future, talking about the past, talking about the present, using the conditional. Let me see what I can do with the past lessons, and I'll see if I can add them. Khaled says, do you have a program to practice sports, Teacher Bob? No. So, well, not exactly. I like to walk. Currently, I have walked 6 out of 6 days in December, and today I'm going to go for a walk again. I'm trying to walk every day in December. And then I also do a little bit, this is recent, I do a little bit of archery. I have a bow back here, and in the upstairs part of my barn, I do some archery, and I might do some of that today too, or for sure tomorrow. But I don't play volleyball, I don't play soccer, I don't play sports or anything like that. Aeon, how do I improve my writing? So similar to improving your speaking, when you're trying to improve your writing, it's helpful to have a writing partner. If you can find someone who we would call a pen pal in English, you'll probably use email. That's why I'm like pen pal, because you won't write actual letters, although you could. That is a very good way to practice your writing. Send a letter or an email to someone and have them respond and correct your mistakes. That is a great way to practice your English writing. And then also do a lot of reading. Reading is when you're seeing other people's writing, and that will naturally help you as well. Hafiez, it's regional as well. Some countries don't even do small talk. For example, in Sweden, it's even an existing stereotype. I've been to Northern Ireland and they do small talk almost anywhere. Yeah, the experience I had was I went for a walk along a pier with a friend from another country, and a lot of people were fishing, and I talked to people while we were walking along the pier, like, did you catch anything today? Or are the fish biting today? And my friend from another country thought that was strange, that I was just talking. He was like, do you know all these people? I said, no, they're strangers. And he's like, why are you talking to strangers? So it can depend on where you are from. And then Hafia says, but of course, it's not just regional. It depends on each individual person too. Absolutely. In English, we say some people are very outgoing. That means they just like talking to people. And other people are more reserved, which means they're very quiet. Okay, let's get to another question from Fred, the Frenchie. We have, Bob, many years ago, you did one of your lessons next to your Christmas tree. Would you mind making this again in order to be able to contemplate its decorations? Yes, I will do that. I'll at least do a photo, if not maybe a lesson beside the Christmas tree. Freddie says, if you are in an elevator with British citizens, if you ask them to push the level button, pay attention that they won't mix up the floor level. Yeah, they do it differently there. In Canada, we have the ground floor and then the second floor. And there, I think they have the ground floor and then the first floor. Elevators in Canada versus Britain. Let me just have a look. Well, it's called a lift there. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, we have the first floor is usually G, and then the next floor up is 2. Some people have it where the first floor is G for ground level, and the next floor up is 1. But generally, the first floor, yeah. I don't want to give too many elevator descriptions. Hey, we just answered 2 of Freddie's questions at once. It was like coincidence. There we go. Okay. Luna says, what is the name of the river that is near your home? You can just barely see it right above me. It's called the Welland River is the name of the river. You can just see a little piece of it right there. From Unsel. Hi, does your school have an alumni reunion? Do you have an interesting memory with a graduating student? Thanks. We did. I went to a 10-year reunion for my graduating class. And my school does do 10-year reunions, but I don't think I've been to one since then. No, pretty rare. Nice emojis, by the way. I like them. No, that says to Freddie, that's actually not a bad question, Mr. Wolf. It makes me wonder whether Bob has decorated his tree yet. Yep, it's definitely up. I didn't help a lot, but it's up and the lights are on. Yoshi says, you are working at high school. How many students are there in your class? There are 40 students in Japan. And do you have your own class? So I have my own classroom. So the room where I teach, I share with other teachers because I'm only part-time. My one class has 24 students. I think my other class has 27. So a normal class size in a Canadian high school is anywhere from 20 to 30 students. Generally not more than 30, maybe 32. So 40 would not be common in Canada. That's a very big class. Hafiz, Bob is outgoing and Brent is more outgoing. Is that a fair assessment? I think a little bit. When I was hanging out with Brent, he's very natural when he is out and about speaking to people. I am a little more reserved, but capable of doing it because all teachers need to be. Like I would say if on a scale of 1 to 10 of being outgoing, Brent's a 8 or 9 and I'm a 7 or 8. But I actually think both of us prefer just being home and a little quieter. So it's interesting when you talk about teachers because we might have a very quiet personality in real life, like at home with family. But when we're teaching, we seem very outgoing. It's kind of a learned skill or a natural ability. I remember you, Bob, saying in one of your streams with Brent that Brent just talked to anyone during the ziplining event. Yes, he definitely did. But that could have been, excuse me, that could have been because both of us were a little bit nervous about doing something dangerous. And that can cause people to talk more. German, how many nephews and nieces have you got? A few. Not a lot. More than 10? Yeah, I think so. More than 10. Brent says, I graduated from high school 30 years ago this year. For a reunion, we didn't do anything. It's kind of a typical thing. Our 10-year was it's kind of hard to remember. We rented a gym. And then I don't know if there was a 20 or 30. Has it been 30 years? It must have been. I'll have to ask. I have a friend who went to high school with me. I should ask. Hafiz says 30 years. Time just flies so fast. Yes, it does. From Melanie, I love your lessons. How can I learn to use more sophisticated vocabulary without sounding unnatural? Thank you for all you have taught me. So this is a common question from people who want to sound very natural. And actually learning sophisticated vocabulary may not be your best route if you're learning American or Canadian English. Even professional business people and teachers and doctors in America and in Canada use very informal language in their day-to-day work. So sometimes learning sophisticated vocabulary can make you sound different or odd. I know that I had a student a couple years ago who would learn words that were very sophisticated, but we didn't actually use them very often. So I would say spend as much time as you can with someone who speaks very natural sounding English and use them as a guide. Because even like in my live stream, I'm not using, some people think I use simpler words so you can understand, But the reality is spoken informal North American English is very straightforward. Like it's very simple. We use very simple words a lot. From Victor, hi Bob, I want to ask how to use the words literally and sort of. I see many native speakers use it a lot, but don't understand how to use it. If I said there's literally an inch of snow outside, it means that if you went out with a measuring stick or a ruler, there's 1 inch of snow or 2.5 centimeters. If I say it's literally -10, that would mean that if you took a thermometer outside, it says -10. If I say, it's sort of cold outside, that might mean it's -1 or -4, or it might even be 3 degrees. It's an imprecise way of describing something. Monica says, hi Bob, have you ever done bungee jumping? I have not. I don't think I would ever try that. I think my limit was zip lining, and I don't think I could do that. From Tenu, hey Bob, can you tell me how to reach C1 level in English? So this requires a great deal of time each week. I'm just making numbers up, but I think they're fair. Probably 2 hours a day. You should probably be meeting with an English tutor every day for 20 or 30 minutes. You should probably be doing an equal amount of reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And to me, getting to the C1 level is best done by living in the country where that language is spoken. I think the internet does make it possible. Like if I wanted, I got my B1 in French and I did really well. I'll be honest, I got my B2 in French and I just passed. If I was to attempt my C1, I think I would dedicate 14 hours a week to learning the French language. For you, it would be learning English. And I would probably have 4 different English tutors. And I would probably, everything I read, everything I did, I would do in that language. So you have to completely submerge yourself or immerse yourself in that language. Let's see, from the chat. Yoshi says, high school in Canada is much different from Japan. Learning not only language, but also culture is very interesting for me. I want to learn more and improve my English skills. Yeah, I think there are probably a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences between Canada and Japan. Roman, why in Europe people use the word queue instead of line while waiting for something to buy or enter? There are a few words and phrases that we say differently or use differently. A common one would be this. I could say to Brent, what did you do? What are you going to do on the weekend? Or what are you going to do this weekend? And in Britain, they would say, what are you going to do at the weekend? If I said to someone, my mom has to go to the hospital, I think in the UK or Britain, they would say, my mom has to go, has to go hospital. Did they say the? I don't know. This is not a good lesson. I should contact one of my British English teacher friends and make a lesson sometime. But yeah, there's just differences, right? Languages change over time. Let's see. Brent says, my biggest class is 12. Brent has a bit of a unique situation though, where some of his classes he's teaching English. And depending on the subjects, we sometimes change class sizes in our schools in North America. If we know students will need more teacher assistance or instruction, we might make the class size bigger. In our school, our ESL classes have a limit of 15, and normally there's about 8 to 10 students in those classes. And the classroom itself is actually smaller, like there's just less desks. Freddie Wolf says, Bob, your lessons are definitely English skills game changers. Thank you, Freddie, for that. I try my best to do my best. Mohammed says, can you create a messenger group to have conversations every day? I have not done this because I will only do things where I have enough time to do them well, and I don't have time to do this well. My viewers are quite welcome to create one and run one themselves, but I am not planning to do that. So Oksana, hi from Ukraine. Really appreciate your videos for my teaching. You're welcome. I wonder, do you reread any book during Christmas time? And what is your top 3 ones in general? So I don't reread books too quickly. I usually wait about 5 years before I will reread a book. I am planning to reread The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, maybe this Christmas. We'll see. But I would recommend those just because I like them. They're fun to read. Last question, everyone. John, how many days off do you have in Canada for Christmas holidays? So this depends on your job. So when I started teaching, I had 2 weeks off at Christmas, and I still have 2 weeks off. My siblings who do other jobs didn't have 2 weeks off, but eventually, as they moved up and got better positions at work, they started to get more time off. So most people in Canada get a full week off, and it usually starts the day before Christmas or 2 days before Christmas. And then sometimes they go back to work for a day or two before New Year's. Some people don't. And then most people go back to work on January 2nd or sometime around there. From the chat, Yoshi says, is it difficult to be a teacher in Canada? In Japan, I have science, junior high school and elementary school teacher license. It takes 6 years to become a teacher in Canada. So that's your question kind of means 2 things, and I'll explain why. For me, it took 5 years, 4.5 years, because it was different back then. But now it's 6 years of study to become a teacher. So it is quite difficult to become a teacher. It's a lot of time in university. Is it difficult to be a teacher in Canada? Can also mean, is the job hard to do? And that just depends on what students you get. No, that says, Bob's glass today looks a bit like the one the dentist has. Yeah, I have 2 here. I have 2 little glasses. I thought I might need 2 cups of water if there were lots of questions. Monarch says, could you please explain the difference between flaw and mistake? So if I make something and let's say they design a car and after a year, the engine stops working. That engine has a flaw. Okay. So there's something wrong with that engine. You would then say the person who made the car made a mistake. Okay. If you write a test and you put the wrong answer, that's a mistake. But if I build, I'm trying to think of something that I build. I don't build a lot of things, but if you build something and you don't build it right, it might have a flaw in it. Like it might break easily. That's the best description I could give. Not good. I don't actually know how many nephews and nieces I have. That's why I'm not answering that one. More than 10. It's too many to add up. Jen and I are both from rather large families. There is one more question, and then I am for sure going to wrap it up. From Canada Hassan. Hi, Bob. How can one quickly learn vocabulary? Randomly reading feels out of context. So it depends what you need the vocabulary for. If you need it for regular everyday conversation, then the news is a great source of vocabulary. Learn how to talk about the sport that is popular in your country, the weather, politics, all of those fun things. So then you have useful vocabulary that you can use in your next English conversation. Reading is great, by the way, but it doesn't always lead to usable vocabulary unless that is your focus. So if you're reading a book, you are going to look up words and learn new words, but try to find words you can use right away in your English life if you're meeting with an English tutor or anything like that. Okay, I got to wrap this up, so let me finish up. Freddie Wolf says, Bob's glass seems not to get empty anytime. Yeah, this one's empty. I finished this one off. It's definitely empty. See, there's nothing in it. Let's see here. Yep, it's important to stay hydrated, Bob, especially when you have to talk a lot. Yes. And Salvador, how do you deal with the winter and cloudy days in Canada? It's just normal for me. So this is what it looks like outside in Canada. I'm sure Brent has the same thing in Maine. This is just what it looks like for a few months. And, you know, after December 21st, the days slowly start to get longer. and it's kind of fun. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you had an enjoyable time. Remember, if you like flowers, there's a link in the chat there to Jen's YouTube channel. If you don't like flowers, don't go watch it. Only go watch her videos if you enjoy flowers and farming and stuff like that. It's not for learning English. It's for people who enjoy the great outdoors and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'll have a new lesson on Tuesday. Many of you left questions. I haven't gotten to that yet, but on Tuesday, I will try to teach you some phrases you can use in common situations. I think that will work well. I didn't plan to go an hour and 20 minutes, but this was fun. I do enjoy doing these live streams. So bye, everybody. Have a good day. Bye to Eva, Lolly Lolly, Brent. Good to have you here, Brent. Bye to Unsel, Yoshi, Know That, Freddie Wolf, Hamid. First name, last name is someone's name. That's kind of funny. Ernesto, Hafiez. Bye to Hafiez as well. Let's see here. I'm getting my earbuds all tangled up. It's one of the cons. There's pros and cons of having these earbuds. Bye to Freddie, Owen, Bryce. Know That says, thank you for the wonderful hour, Bob. It was nice to be able to hang out around with you again. I wish you and your family a lovely and relaxing weekend. Take care, Bob. Thank you. You too. Ohm says, how old are you? I'm in my 50s. It's crazy. I'm just going to be vague from now on. I'm in my early 50s. I'm almost in my mid 50s. Bye to Svetlana, Sybil, Ohm, and everyone else. Okay, I'm going to hit the end button.